Welcome to the video, and today we will be doing the UFC physique list. So in this list, we're going to be ranking a lot of people in the UFC. I've got them all around the screen. We're going to drag them in. We're going to put them on tiers depending on what I think, where I think their physique ranks. So obviously, S tier is the better physiques, and F tier is terrible physiques, and in between is obviously the physiques that are in the middle. So what we're considering today is where their muscle is, because that's kind of important. There's some areas more useful than others. If they're in shape, that's another thing we're going to be factoring. How their physique helps them in the way they fight, because that's important in a lot of people's styles, is how they're built, and how strong they are and how it helps their cardio and stuff like that. So other factors in fight. So without further ado, let's get right into this. We're going to start off with heavyweight that seems to have no grappling game right now is Cyril Gane. We're going to be putting him in S tier. I'm going to put him here because I think he's got the best heavyweight physique probably. But we're not going to be putting him at the top of S because I don't think he has the best physique in the UFC. So Cyril Gane, you just need to take one look at this guy to see that he is undoubtedly the most in shape and athletic heavyweight. He weighs in about, I think it's about 5-10 pounds below the weight limit. Actually, it's 10 pounds roughly. So he isn't the heaviest heavyweight, but it maybe benefits him because his cardio seems really good. And he's very strong. He turns around people who are bigger than him. He was getting the better of Francis Ngannou in some of the clinches. He was turning him around. And he's very, very fast, which is obviously because of his lean physique, he's quick. A lot of the other heavyweights are kind of slow with their punches. Cyril Gane is not. He's probably the quickest heavyweight. Tom Aspinall's up there, but Cyril Gane might take the edge. I'd imagine Cyril Gane is also stronger. I can imagine this guy can eat a load of body kicks. He looks very tough, very well conditioned, and he's just very strong. So that's why he's there. Moving on, Darren Till, F tier. This guy's legs are made out of plastic. His ACLs just tore all the time apparently, and he's really let himself go. This guy used to be. Actually, F tier is too hard, D tier. He used to be in good shape and he would have been much higher on this list, but obviously he's just lost all motivation to train recently and it's really showing. Moving on, we have Israel Adesanya. I'm going to put Israel in, I think I'm going to put him in A tier about here. Israel's really lanky, he's got a tall, long frame, but he's still got a fair bit of muscle on his arms, so it really works out for his style, which is basically hit and don't get hit. And it works because he's rangy, really rangy. He's got long legs, long arms, so he can throw kicks, he can leg kick you at range, he can jab you at range, and he's got quite a long frame, so he can basically duck his head out of the way and move backwards without getting clipped as he's leaving. Because some guys with shorter torsos, they do have a bit of an issue where they lean back and exit and they get clipped on the way out by big overhands and stuff like that. So so that's why Izzy's there. It really suits his plan. He's not so muscular. That he's kind of, he never has cardio issues. He's got good cardio, and he's at quite a good size where he can basically fluctuate between weight classes easily. So he's not necessarily the smallest light heavyweight, and he's a big middleweight, so he can make both weight classes. And honestly, I reckon after if he did lifting for 4 months, he could fit a light heavyweight frame very well. Moving on, we have Alexander Volkanovski. I'm going to put him in low B. Or maybe C. I'm going to put him in C. Obviously, his cardio is really good. And he's a really good featherweight. But I feel like he is just a bit on the small side for lightweight. For example, if you put him up against some of the weight bully guys in lightweight, such as, Makhachev, for example, they are just so much bigger than him. They tower over him and they're physically bigger than him. They're wider than him. They've got bigger arms than him too. So it's a big trade-off for him moving up there. But at featherweight, he's good. So actually, we'll put him in low B. His cardio carries him, so he's very, very in shape in that aspect. He's got a good muscle proportions. He's not insanely built, but he's very in shape. He's not like this guy ain't on the sauce or anything, I don't think. And it just carries him through fights, and it suits his style well. He can wrestle when he wants to, but obviously the reach sometimes is a problem. And at lightweight, I can imagine him running into maybe some more issues against some of the really big dudes in that division, such as Islam, if that fight ever happens again. Moving on, we have Islam Makhachev. I'm going to put Islam in A. Islam, for his style, his body really complements it. He's big. He's basically a welterweight. I'm really surprised he makes lightweight. And the only reason he's not really an S tier is because he practically nearly dies every time he cuts weight to make a lightweight. So he's that big, it's actually kind of an issue. But after he cuts the weight, all the benefits are in his hands. He's huge. He's stronger than basically all his opponents. However, he did say Volk's really strong. So there's that. But and also this guy's got quite short arms compared to the height of him, which in his wrestling background is hugely beneficial because it means he can get underhooks easier. His grip strength is increased because of that, and you can really tell because his arm triangle is mental. He's just got crazy grip strength. You know, he's like once he grabs a hold of you, you can't get him off. He's good in the clinch. So yeah, he's just really suited to his Russian Sambo style. And he's got power too because of his his short arms. They give him strength, and his arms aren't so short that he has massive reach disadvantages. Moving on, got John Jones. We'll put him in B. I don't think he's got the best frame for heavyweight. He's a big heavyweight, yes, but he doesn't have the best frame for it. He just kind of looks like, he's not like Cyril Gane. Like, he's not as in shape as Cyril. He isn't designed to be that weight, for example. It's not his natural weight, and you can definitely tell where Cyril, you can tell it comes naturally. We'll put him in B. Yeah, we'll just keep him in B. He's lanky. He's a good light heavyweight. He's basically a perfect fit for light heavyweight because he was an actual light heavyweight, and the guys he was fighting were not. They were all just kind of, middleweights who couldn't be bothered cutting weight. So that's why he's there. Maybe we'll put him in A tier, actually. We'll put him in the bottom of A tier just because, he was so successful there. So it gave him lots of advantages. He had reach advantages, huge reach advantages. I think he has the longest reach in the UFC. And strong frame and bony elbows and knees. His elbows and knees are really sharpish, so it kind of gives him an advantage. His elbows look really painful to get hit by, especially in comparison to some other people. So he's got really sharp elbows for some reason. It's almost like he was designed to be a fighter, and that is why he is there. Moving on, DC. We're going to put him in C because I know he's out of shape, but his cardio is surprisingly good. And his build does actually help his style, whereas Darren Till's build is not beneficial to him whatsoever. It's actually affects him negatively in fights. The fact that Cormier's really got a low center of mass and gravity, and he's really heavy, it helps him get double legs, get singles. He gets power single legs where he lifts them up, slams them and stuff like that. So yeah, that might not be possible if he was taller and his weight was distributed over a much taller body. For example, imagine if he was 6'4", similar to Jones in height. He'd find it harder, harder to get under people's hips and stuff like that. So that's why he's there. But obviously he's got a soft body. He's kind of weak on the body shots, and he's not the quickest. I'm not saying he's slow, but he isn't the quickest. Okay, so that's why he's there. Moving on, Aljamain Sterling. He's going in B. He's going in B. He's a big weight bully. So him making bantamweight is actually so lucky for him because I don't know how he makes that weight because this guy, I swear, it's like 170 pounds natural weight. His cut against Sean O'Malley is going to be tough because he recently just did one. But his weight bully advantage just means he can get, how many takedowns he does get. He just kind of spams takedowns his entire fights, even easier. And it also means that even if he's on striking, he's got a little bit of safety in the fact that the majority of the time he's the bigger guy. So he might even just be equal on power. There's only a few guys more powerful than him in the division just because of his pure size. And also it means he's strong. The only disadvantage is that the weight cut's immense, and he's not hugely tall, I've noticed, so he doesn't really have like a massive reach advantage or anything like that. It's just size, so it's not like Israel Adesanya where he's like tall and rangy and he can keep you at a distance until he needs to bring the fight close. He just has a big size advantage, that's why he's there. Moving on, we've got Dricus du Plessis. I actually think he's got a really good middleweight frame. I think he's really got a good frame. I think if he was a lot more skilled, I think it would really help. He's very, very strong. And he just seems to use his strength, and it literally makes up for the fact he has no talent, because we all know that middleweight, there's not much talent in middleweight. The top 5 guys are talented, and then everyone below that, more or less, with a few exceptions, it's just physicality. It's just a battle of physicality, which is why you see Dricus do well, because he is probably the most physical person in middleweight now that Romero's gone. He kind of reminds me of Romero in a few ways. He's a little bit smaller than Romero, so the cut's easier for him. And this guy just makes... If this guy wasn't physical, he wouldn't be here whatsoever. He wouldn't even be ranked. His strength and just that grit, takes him through fights and gets him the win, because middleweight is a zero talent division. Moving on, Paddy Baddy. He's actually an underrated fighter, in the fact that, not underrated that he's good. I mean, his physique is underrated. I think he's got a really good build for lightweight. He just seems like he really fits that weight. Like featherweight would be too much of a cut for him, but welterweight he'd be a bit soft around the edges. So fair play to him. He's in good shape. His cardio seems decent. His chin holds up, which indicates that his cuts aren't too hard, maybe, or he just has a solid chin. And he's quite a big guy for the division. He's not like the biggest. He's not like Makachev size, but he ain't small either. So and he's in good shape. So props to Paddy, and that's why he's in A tier. Moving on, Nate Diaz. We're putting Nate in D tier. This guy, he just is so soft, Like, he's just really, like, he looks like he's never been to the gym in his life. Like, and he's not strong at all. That's his issue. Because, like, Daniel Cormier, I know he's really overweight, but he is very strong, okay? Nate Diaz is not strong. He's probably the weakest guy in welterweight. I know he doesn't fight there anymore, but he just is really weak. The only benefit of his body is that, I think due to the low amounts of muscle, he has really good cardio, which is good. And obviously, I really don't think this guy cuts much weight at all. So his chin holds up well. He's got a really good chin. But other than that, I can't really say much. He's tall. I guess that gives him good reach. I mean, if he ever fights at lightweight, I know he wouldn't now, but if he ever did, he did. I think that would be a benefit. But other than that, not the best physique for MMA, is it? Moving on, we have Leon Edwards. I'm going to put Leon Edwards at S tier. I think he has the best physique in the entire UFC. I think he's just got the perfect physique. He's a big welterweight, but he's not so big that it's like a death cut. Like, it's not Khamzat Chimaev level, but he's still not. He's only like a tiny bit smaller than Chimaev, so it really works out well for him. So that's really good for him. He has really good hips. He has really small hips, so it's kind of hard to get around, and he has really wide shoulders. So he's like got this ultra athlete build, and it really helps him. It just means he's strong on the ground, he's strong in striking, and he's strong in the clinch. And he's got strength. Thanks to this physique, he has muscle in all the right places, which is what I said at the start of the video. This guy's literally the definition of athlete in all the right places, because there's some, it's just the fact that in UFC, having a lot of muscle on your legs maybe isn't that useful compared to having a lot of muscle in your back to give you that strength of like pushing in the clinch, getting up off your back and stuff like that. So so props to Leon there. Best physique in the UFC, I'd say, and his cardio's okay. It's decent. Moving on, Khamzat Chimaev. We are also putting him in. We're going to put him in S tier. He goes there, and the reason being is that because he's he can fight in three weight classes. Okay, this guy can do light heavyweight, he can do middleweight, and he can also do welterweight. He's probably the only athlete that I think can do all three weight classes. Can he make welterweight again? He might die doing it, so he probably shouldn't try that. But if there was ever going to be a triple weight champion in the UFC, this would probably be him, just because of his physique. He's a huge welterweight, and he's still a big middleweight, and he isn't even like a midget at light heavyweight. So there's a lot of winnable fights in all divisions for him, and just the versatility of his physique. He's got a really interesting physique there. And he's very, very strong. Not many guys are stronger than him, and he's got immense power too. So that's why he's there in S tier. Moving on, we've got Colby Covington. He's going in C tier. This isn't because of his physique. He's very in shape, and his cardio is good. It's just because of the fact that he's basically outsized in all his fights due to the fact he only cuts like 5 pounds every fight. So the cardio is a huge advantage, but against these bigger welterweights, he might struggle. I'm trying to think, like, Leon's a lot bigger than him. Usman's stronger, much stronger than him. That's actually, we'll move him in B. C's a little bit harsh because he's not out of shape, so to speak, but he's just going to be undersized in all his fights because he doesn't cut really any weight whatsoever in comparison to other people. So that's why he's there. But his cardio is really good, which kind of saves him from the lower spots, and he's in shape. Moving on, obviously he doesn't really have much strength. Moving on, Michael Chandler. We're going to be putting Michael Chandler in we're going to put him in the top of B. this guy's just so strong, man. Like, I don't know, his cuts must be hell, and he's quite old as well. I think he's like 36 now. But he's so strong. He's like basically like the super lightweight, you know. I think this guy's slightly too small to be a welterweight maybe, but I mean, he might even be fighting at 185, so I don't know what he's gonna look like there. But yeah, this guy at lightweight, he just, I mean, has anyone seen that video of, you know, in the Dustin Poirier fight, he just literally single legs him and he picks him up with one hand. Like, it's crazy, you know. It was super strength stuff. This guy is insanely strong for lightweight. He has mad power, and it's a shame, you know, he kind of makes some crazy decisions, because I think without that he'd be champ, because he's got a really good physique for stuff like this. Moving on, Paulo Costa, we'll put him in A tier. This guy's really, really strong. But to be fair, he's not as actually, his punch power isn't actually as strong as his physique would tell you. You'd think this guy has got one hit KO power, and while he does have power, it ain't to the likes of like Pereira or I'm trying to think of some others. You know, he's not like the Ngannou of the middleweight division. But yeah, he's really strong. I'd say he's actually bigger than Duplessis, which is why I've put him above him. And he has cardio, whereas Duplessis doesn't, so he's clearly more conditioned. He can go 5 rounds. You know, we've seen him go 5 rounds before, and he looked all right at the end of it. And he's got a good chin, so the cut can't even be that bad. And yeah, so props to Paulo Costa. He's going there. Our first F tier person, Chris Daukaus, man. You're a middleweight, okay? If you see this video, Chris, I'm not hating, but you're a middleweight, bro. Okay, cut, please. You know, this guy, he's fighting people that are way too big for him. This guy should never be a heavyweight ever. He's just a middleweight in disguise, you know? Cut weight, please, bro. Please cut weight. I can't see you getting knocked out again. It's really hard to watch when I know you could actually maybe win some fights at middleweight, because there's a lot of talentless guys in there. But yeah. Moving on, Francis Ngannou. We're gonna put him in A tier. Actually, we'll put Islam in S. We'll move these guys down, and then we'll put Islam in S. We'll put him there, and we'll move these guys down. Francis can go in at A. Okay, he can go at the top of A, because this guy, he's the only guy who isn't overweight that has to cut to make heavyweight, which says all you need to know about him. This guy is genuinely so strong and big, but it comes at a cost. The reason why he's not in S tier is because even though he's the biggest heavyweight ever, like in terms of just sheer size, obviously I know like Volkov's taller than him and stuff, but they're like not as muscly, you know. I feel like Francis is the bigger dude, kind of. The only reason he's not up is because his immense amount of muscle really has cardio implications, and he gasses quite quickly. I know in his recent fights he went 5 rounds and stuff, and he's been showing improvement, but he was really knackered. And yeah, so that's why he's there. But this guy actually cuts muscle like water weight to get to heavyweight, which just shows how strong he is. And obviously, you know, the power speaks for itself. This guy literally gets takedowns with like zero skill. Like against Cyril Gane, he didn't even use the proper technique in half of them. He literally just ran for him. Like, he's that strong. And Cyril Gane is a 250-pound guy. He just like literally like basically charged into him and rugby tackled him. It was crazy. He doesn't even like need talent to beat some of these guys. I mean, we saw it against Rosenstrike, and you know, I know Cyril Gane's maybe like the more like athletic, because he can probably, you know, do it for longer, but Ngannou's power just means that he can actually kind of compensate for a lack of skill in some departments, especially wrestling. So yeah, that's why he's there. Moving on, Conor McGregor. Yeah, we're going to see. Conor's like at featherweight. Conor would have been much higher. I don't know, but I just feel like Conor can't find a weight class right now. You know, he's like, he's too small for a welterweight. At lightweight, he kind of maybe struggles with the cuts. You know, they look quite rough for him, and he just looks a bit off. And obviously, he hasn't been doing so well at lightweight. And at featherweight, obviously, he did immensely, but he can't make that anymore because he was really young back then. And now he's talking about middleweight, so I really don't know. So like, I really don't know where to rank him, because his weight fluctuates so much, and he can't even decide himself where he's fighting. I don't even think he knows what his best weight class is or what he should look like. But yeah, so that's why Conor McGregor is there. You know, I'm not too decided on that one. I can't really decide where to put him. It just depends on what kind of Conor McGregor we're talking about here. But he looks really big right now, so maybe at middleweight he's really good. but he's going to be smaller than them guys. Like Duplessis is, no matter what, he's always going to be bigger, and so is Paulo Costa, just because they're taller. So yeah, and that's everyone, guys. That's the list. Obviously, I couldn't fit anyone in here just because of time constraints. I can only do a certain amount of people. But I hope you enjoyed the tier list. Thank you guys for watching. Comment down below who I've missed, if you agree or not. And I hope you enjoyed the video. Subscribe so you don't miss the next one, and I'll see you guys later.